Hello and welcome to this mental health update. It is the end of the year, so the end of 2023, and I said I'd be posting a video talking about how 2023 went. And it was not a great year for many reasons. And first and foremost, just dealing with where I'm living is just so depressing. And coming home tonight again, I was walking through Garden City up by Old Country Road, and it was just dead. I mean, literally, even Old Country Road was empty. It was unbelievable how dead it was. I mean, nothing but the dead of night in my little town. And for some, they're like, well, it's not going to bother me, whatever. And that's one thing if you live in a small little area on the North Shore, like Seacliff or somewhere, it's far out in the woods or whatever, for it to be that quiet. But in the middle of Nassau County, it's unnerving to have it this quiet at night. And it's because of the crime. It's because people are afraid to go out. It's because everybody wants to be on the South Shore. And, this is the year that I really tried hard to get out of here and I didn't succeed. And here I am still stuck in this apartment with no view in a declining neighborhood with no life and just nothing but problems hanging around. Yesterday's video you saw the train station. Somebody, I don't know, somebody put bodily fluids. Probably a homeless person went to the bathroom right by the ticket machine. But in Belmore, and it smelled horrible too, but in Belmore, nice and clean by the ticket machine. So it's just two different worlds. Two different worlds. One's for the haves and their little enclaves, living it up, and the other for those who aren't so fortunate. And that's what Long Island is turning more and more into. It's just getting more and more divided. It's getting more and more segregated as time goes on. And in 2023, I think that has been a big challenge for me, just dealing with that and then dealing with being lied to by my agency, leading me on, saying I could look at apartments, and I found some apartments that they never followed up on, that they claim they never heard back, and then, and I spoke about it yesterday in the video, that they just all of a sudden changed their mind. They're like, well, we're not going to relocate you. We have a lot of apartments within the program that are available in very undesirable areas, and they're all like shared situations with roommates. Of course, nobody is going to want that, but they don't care about the quality of the housing they're providing their clients. As I said yesterday, they care about their bottom line. They can save money by having it this way instead of paying more for a quality apartment in a better neighborhood. And yeah, I know there's going to be discrimination on top of that, but they're just part of the problem. So that's been a very disappointing thing about 2023. And then the weather, the climate has really just been. We didn't have winter last year. All right, we didn't have a winter last year. We had almost no snow last year, and so far this December we haven't had any winter weather as well. It's been very warm, and we've had a lot of these crazy rainstorms, tropical type storms constantly. We've had a lot of them. Very unusual weather going on across the whole country. The climate is continuing to worsen. I guess that's like I said, year in review. I guess we're going to go over all the things that happened this year. The climate continues to worsen. Uh, we have again no hardly any snow cover in the whole country. It's very unusual to see this. I think we've broken a record there, and I'm going to talk about all of that when I do my weather update on New Year's Day. That'll be the next weather update. But that's also been a challenge because obviously I'm somebody who likes to spend a lot of time outdoors. I like to spend a lot of time in the Pine Barrens, and when you have these humid, cloudy, rainy days, these aren't good days to go to the Pine Barrens. All right, it's one thing. All right, maybe it's not completely clear, but you've had a lot of just cloudy days, with a lot of days with rain, a lot of rain, ridiculous amounts of rain. Uh, it has been one of the rainiest years I can remember in recent history, or at least it seems that way. Um, it's just been, at least it affects here. And then, of course, we had all that. The summer was quite warm and humid. We really didn't. The humidity was unrelenting, and let's not forget the biggest thing of all, which was that wildfire smoke that we had for a good chunk of the summer, especially the early summer, where we had really thick smoke that literally made it apocalyptic at certain times. I could never imagine something like that happening here, and yet it did. And this is how bad climate change is because of all those fires that were burning in Canada, and because they're not getting the snow cover that they need in the winter, Canada hardly is. This could be 2024 could be even worse with the fires in Canada. Perhaps we're gonna have to see what happens with that, of course. And you can run, but you can't hide from climate change. You can go and relocate to Flagstaff, say, all right, they have more sunny weather there. But that's the other extreme. It's extremely dry there. They've been below normal with precipitation, and they haven't had any snow yet this year either. They've hardly had any snow, and that is a problem because if they don't get snowpack over there, that's a serious problem for their ecosystem. Things are going to start dying and drying up. So it's the other extreme, too dry or too wet. There's not really an in between anymore that you can count on. So it's made it hard for me to go to the Pine Barrens and enjoy certain things that I enjoy in my life. You know, um, and that's why when I have a nice day to go, I have to go no matter what, because the nice days are just getting harder and harder to find. Those nice clear days, like you see in the pictures behind me there, it's very, very hard to find nice weather anymore. Getting a clear day, and even when you get a cold front coming through, like today, we had lots of clouds around still, so we're still stuck in the clouds. Tomorrow they say sunny, but I think there's going to be a lot of clouds around too. It's just, everything is just warmer than it's supposed to be. And that also makes it hard for, to get those nice clear skies because now you have warmer water, and warmer water, like the Great Lakes, creates more clouds. So you just can't win. So this is the problem that we have here. Um, so, you know, I've thought about my future. Is this going to be my last full year on Long Island 2023? And I don't want it to be my last full year on Long Island, as I've said in many other videos. Long Island has a lot of bad things going on, but it's still home. And you compare it to other areas that you could wind up having to go live, like say Tom's River, New Jersey, which is surrounded by beautiful pine barrens, but the public transportation is certainly much worse there than it is here. It's going to be harder to get around. There are a lot of areas that don't even have bus routes. You can't even, like, have whole towns in Ocean County that you can't even get to by bus, or maybe they have one bus that runs a couple times a day for 3 days a week, and that's it. That's the way it is in Ocean County. Yeah, there are other parts in the northern part of New Jersey where they've got better transit, but now you're farther away from the Pine Barrens, which is definitely a non-starter for me. So, and then, you have, just leaving the Northeast completely, going, like, to say Flagstaff or something, and, it's beautiful. They have beautiful weather. There's lots of pines there, and the transportation within the city is actually pretty decent. But if you want to leave the city, there isn't much in the way of transportation. If you want to go to another town around there, there isn't much. And then you're just stuck with that one town. It's not like I can travel around, you know, um, and they have beautiful pines. And I know it's definitely a better place for somebody who likes to be in the outdoors because there's less precipitation. But it's, like I said, the other extreme, and it's a very dry place. It's not like they don't have any really rivers there or lakes like we have to look at. They don't, have the ocean, so that's a drawback. So everywhere else you go, you're going to have a drawback. And it seems like Long Island is just a happy medium from all those things. But yet, Long Island, all the good things about Long Island are being ruined. And speaking of the pine barrens, we've had a very devastating year with the southern pine beetle. Uh, we've had a lot of devastation in our pine barrens, spreading because of the last year having not having a winter last year. The beetles just went crazy this year because when you don't have cold periods in the winter that would normally kill off these insects, they spread, and they spread like wildfire, literally, and they wipe out acres and acres of beautiful pines. And that is not helped by uh, the management policies here on Long Island, because unlike in New Jersey, where they have good management of the pine barrens, they do controlled burns to keep the forest healthy. We haven't been doing that on Long Island because we don't get the budget from New York State, because New York State basically doesn't thinks of the pine barrens as an afterthought here. And they're starting to come around a little bit, but it's just a very slow process. In the meantime, while they keep talking about controlled burns, they're not doing them, and the beetles are continuing to get out of control and get worse and worse and worse. We saw Napiog destroyed, such destruction when I went to Napiog. That was horrible, and I wonder. They've cut a lot of trees, and then now they're doing it after the fact, and they can say, well, it costs a lot of money to cut the trees. And I'm like, yeah, but it would cost less money if you just had the controlled burns, so the beetles wouldn't happen in the first place. But nobody in New York seems to understand that. They get it in New Jersey, but not New York, for whatever reason. And this has been a huge drawback. Um, Positive things about 2023. Well, we had Grand Central at Madison open up. Uh, that has been a real benefit to, I think, a lot of people. And it's not so much me going to the city because I don't really go that much, but it's me getting more frequent service on the main line when I'm going out east to go to the Pine Barrens. And when they first rolled it out, it was great. We had all the Ronkonkoma trains stopping at Mineola. I had a half hourly service to Ronkonkoma, uh, and that was it was great. And you'd have half hourly service on the Huntington line too. Um, but unfortunately, the railroad has decided, as you know, to get rid of that half hourly service and have the Ronkonkoma trains that originate in Grand Central and go to Grand Central on the weekends and off peak middays skip Mineola now for no damn reason. Actually, no, absolutely no damn reason. We did see the completion of the third track project at a new Mineola station that's really not being taken care of properly, because they're not cleaning it. We still have homeless there, and there are no seats. There's nowhere to sit down except in the waiting room when it's open. So, that's something that's really been a drawback for us now that they've done that, and for no reason other than spite. Obviously, that's the way I view it. Because there's no reason when you look at the ridership why they would do such a thing. It's just because they don't like us. It's that simple. We're not their people. We're not the people that the railroad thinks are important. The people that the railroad thinks are important, as we know, are the people, the white finance professionals, and they're mainly on the South Shore. But even in the middle of the island, there are some towns that have more of them, like Farmingdale and even Ronkonkoma. They're building a whole bunch of fancy apartments around the train station. So that's why they're having, and I'm worried they're going to have more Ronkonkoma trains skip Mineola, as these people want their little express rides. So even have along the main line, you have some, it's all about who's got more money, and those are the people that have more money, the people who are white, are the people who are going to get treated better than everybody else. That's what's going on Long Island, and and people have said, John, you got to speak up, you got to change this. Man, I can't. I've tried to change it. I can't change it anymore. I have to focus on changing my life, and that's something that we're going to have to work on, obviously. Other things that have happened in 2023, this whole thing with the illegal immigration, uh, they're pouring in, and in 2023, I've seen Mineola become basically infested with illegals, just like Westbury, especially my neighborhood. They're all over the place. The beat up cars, the trash, all the signs I see are there. The only thing that hasn't happened yet, and I'm waiting any day now, it seems, we're going to get gang graffiti. It's only a matter of time, that's going to come next because all the illegals that have been let in by Joe Biden and then Hochul and then Eric Adams, uh, they're going to New York. They're not going to New Jersey because New Jersey isn't a sanctuary state. New York is, and this is just another way for the rich and those white finance professionals to continue their plan to purge us out. All these things that I'm talking about are all designed to purge people like me out of New York, to make our lives so hard. We're not allowed to have decent housing. We're not allowed to, have, decent quality of life in our communities. We're discriminated against. All the illegals are put there, all the criminals are put there, while the South Shore gets to have the good life. Um, and all the other enclaves. There are other enclaves out there. I mean, Farmingdale has sort of become an enclave in the middle of the island. There are, and they're trying to like turn Ronkonkoma into one. I don't know how successful that's going to be, but they're trying. It's all geared to these kind of people. Nothing new is geared to people like us. Not like in New Jersey, where in Ocean County they build brand spanking new housing complexes that actually are partially or sometimes mainly geared to people like us. They do that in Ocean County, but they don't do that on Long Island because again, Ocean County is a different kind of place. But the problem is transportation there is the problem. But and the weather too. It's much hotter there too. It's much hotter there. It tends to be a little more cloudy too sometimes, depending on how these fronts set up. But it's all part of the plan, and this is what I'm struggling to basically overcome in 2024 going forward. Um, you know, it's also taking a toll on my health. I have depression, I have anxiety, and loneliness has become a big problem for me this year. It feels like the loneliness has just gotten much worse. Trying to find someone, and then just, you're in a town where there's just nothing going on. There's no one around. It's so depressing and so lonely. And I know some people say quiet is good. Quiet is good, but if you are, like I said, if you're lonely and you have suffered from depression, you need some of that nightlife, you know. And when I first moved to Mineola, we had some of that. But when the pandemic hit, we never came out of it. We never came out of the pandemic. This area has not recovered. The South Shore, which barely suffered at all, is back better than ever. But Mineola in the middle of the island is just getting worse. We've seen new businesses open, we've seen businesses close. Hopefully, the new businesses can survive. Um, but again, it's people just want to be on the South Shore. They want to be where the people are. It's just the way people behave. It's the way humans behave. And it's hard to change that really. And yeah, I'm concerned about it affecting my health because the doctor, when I saw him for my physical, despite all the walking I've done, and I don't eat that much, all right? I monitor how many calories I eat each day. Usually I try to stay at 2,000 or below. Sometimes it's up 2,500, but I never go above 2,500 calories a day, which is usually what a man needs. But yet I'm still not losing weight. Despite all the walking and all the exercise I'm doing, it's putting on weight in my stomach. I think it's because I have IBS, which is leading to constipation. That's part of it, but it could contribute to a hernia. And that's one thing my doctor was very concerned about. But stress and depression can cause weight gain. And when you have bad mental health, it becomes bad physical health. And my mental health hasn't been good, so it's obviously now spreading to the rest of my body. I mean, just like what happened in about 5 days ago in Lynbrook, when I was coming out of the train station, and I was taking a little path that I thought was a little shortcut. I didn't see any signs entering from the train station, and then there's this guardrail between that path and the sidewalk. I'm like, oh, I can step over that. I used to be able to step over those guardrails. I can't do it anymore. Lost my balance and fell. You know the whole story with that. It turns out on the other side, there was a sign that said no trespassing, which I didn't see because I came in from the train station. Um, but it's I can't do those things anymore. I can't. It's like lifting my leg up high like that to go over something. I can't do it anymore. I have always had issues with balance. I cannot ride a bike. I cannot really go on these amusement park rides. I'll get sick. I can't do those things because I have ear problems, middle ear problems. My doctor referred me to a number of specialists now, an ENT as well as a gastroenterologist for my digestive issues. Probably gonna have to have a colonoscopy, which doesn't sound like fun, but um, I'm concerned. All these things are affecting me. All right, and then I'm living here in this apartment where I'm dealing with things not getting a low intercom, 3 years. Now the front door is it's getting harder. It's getting harder and harder to open that front door. I'm gonna go down to the Mineola building department this week and figure out if the village can do anything because it's not acceptable. You should be able to open the front door without having to push really hard to get it to open. It's an absolutely ridiculous way to live. And I've told my agency about it. No response from any of them. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. And I would love to call them out. I would love to do it, but it's not going to accomplish anything. It's not going to help me. I have to keep this between me and my agency and whatever legal counsel I get. When you're taking legal action against somebody, it's not something you should talk about too much on social media. But it sounds like I'm heading down the road to taking my agency to court right now, trying to, at the very least, get these things fixed because maybe taking my landlord to court, but at most, just moving out of this place and living somewhere in a proper apartment building where things are properly maintained in a neighborhood with actual citizens that actually know how to behave themselves. Because right now where I live is not is not like that. This is a neighborhood full of illegals that don't give a crap and toss their trash everywhere they can because they have no standards, no respect, no boundaries. The same thing that I dealt with in Westboro. Illegals don't give a crap. They weren't here when I moved in, but now they are because of New York State letting them in to the country. And it doesn't mean I'm racist. People will say I'm racist, or they'll talk about a video I made 15 years ago. I think it was maybe 15 or 10 years ago. And this was back when I was living in Westbury, and I used some rather inappropriate language talking about illegals. All right, I was still referring to illegals. All right, at the time, but when I dealt with in Westbury, you know the story what I dealt with in Westbury, having to deal with living somewhere and then having a stabbing happen, gang behavior, arguments and fights all the time. That was the first apartment I lived in Westbury. Then with the second apartment, I didn't have to deal with that, but the neighborhood just continued to got worse. Oh, and then we have to talk about Nice Bus too, because Nice Bus is making our lives harder too, because all their service improvements, or the bulk of them, usually go to the South Shore or the North Shore, parts of the North Shore, and the middle is just completely forgotten, as usual. And the light actually making service worse in the middle of the island. And I got to talk about that and work on a video about that as well. So it's getting worse. It's just getting worse here. It's not going to get better. People say, "Oh, it's going to get better." Just keep waiting. It's never going to get. I've been waiting for it to get better for 3 years now. I don't think I'm going to wait anymore. I got to move the hell out of here. Um, whether it be out of this neighborhood, I really would rather just move out of Mineola at this point. But if you're in the Mineola, that's west of Mineola Boulevard. It's nicer over there, but still, the night's love. Preferably, I'd like to live in Rockville Center or Lynbrook. Um, that's where I'd really like to live. Those are great towns. They take care of each other. Uh, it's clean. It's safe. You have good transportation. Um, you know, and I would even consider Farmingdale, but preferably Rockville Center or Lynbrook. And they're far enough inland that I don't think they're going to be affected by sea level rise, at least not for a long while. But that's where I'd want to live if I could. But I know that's coveted. That's coveted. You can't live there. It's coveted. But I need to live there. That should be more important than all these rich snobs going in there and trying to say I can't live there. It should be about my mental health. It should be about what I need. But with my agency, it's not about what I need. It's more like their bottom line is all they care about. Ever since they merged, and I've told you already that my agency used to be a smaller agency, and then they got gobbled up by a bigger agency, and because of Cuomo cutting funding to all these housing agencies, it always points back to Andrew Cuomo, piece of shit he is. Uh, you know, um, him and Mangano really did a number on my lives. If those two were never born, my life would be so much better. I guarantee it. All right, guarantee it. Um, you know, between all the things they've done, it's unbelievable what they've gotten away with. Going forward. Anyway, going forward, I've got to get out of here. All right, I've got to keep trying to fight to get out of here. Um, it's not going to get any better here. The landlord is not going to fix the intercom. The landlord is not going to fix the front door. The landlord doesn't care. He's just providing the bare necessities, heat, hot water, etc. He's not going to fix anything else that breaks because he knows the neighborhood is toast. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. When I first moved here, the neighborhood was decent, so he cared. But like I said, after 2020, when things started going downhill, boom, the landlord just stopped caring. Doesn't fix anything. Um, anything that doesn't absolutely have to be fixed. He's not going to fix. And even with heat, we went through every year. This happened last year too, where when it first starts getting cold, the first week or two, he doesn't turn the heat on. So, you know, I don't understand. I used to have such a good landlord. I had such a good landlord, and he's turned into a horrible landlord. It's unbelievable. I've complained about the front door. I've complained about the intercom so many times till I'm blue in the face. Nothing ever changes. And that's why as I said yesterday, I'm going to be withholding $30 in rent at this point because I need to do something to say that I'm fed up with this whole thing. I really am. Now with the trash, finally, They provided more trash pails in in the basement to put our trash in. We have to go into the basement to put our trash. But the problem is the other tenants, as you know, they just leave their trash there anyway because they're lazy. And then there's the other thing with the other tenants that I live with, setting off their smoke alarms on a near daily basis, smoking weed, uh, that kind of stuff. Who wants to be around that kind of stuff? It's if they don't have any respect, they don't care. They don't have any. I would love to live with just people who are actually normal. I don't even say they don't even talk to me. There's no one talks to each other in this neighborhood. I'd like to live in a neighborhood where people talk to each other and you have neighbors you're friendly with. I didn't have that too much in Westbury, and I certainly don't have it here. Um, and it just adds to the loneliness that I'm dealing with. It just adds to it. It really, really does. It really does add to it. Um, but anyway, like I said, going forward, dealing with the worsening climate is going to be harder and harder. Me for two reasons. And I think 2024 every year is just going to get worse. Um, Dealing with, especially that's another thing about this place. It just gets so hot in this neighborhood. You can't get fresh air because of the alley. It's hard to get fresh air in here. If I lived in Rockville Center, Lindbergh, I'd get that nice breeze, and it would be a lot easier to survive the heat in the summer. Be a lot easier. It's a lot more bearable there in the summer than it is here. Here, it's just stifling. It's almost as bad as being in New Jersey, being here in Mineola. It's very, very hot here, and they just keep building more stuff and making it more congested. It's funny they keep building all these buildings, and yet it's deader than ever. It just makes no sense. And I just heard the door again. It makes that horrible noise. I gotta listen to that every day. People going in and out. It makes this horrible noise. And again, none of the other people, do they complain? Do they want to do anything? No, they don't want to do anything about it because they have no standards. I mean, you have one person who had their smoke detector chirping for 3 days. They don't even want to change the battery in the smoke detector when it goes. They just have no standards whatsoever. These people, it's ridiculous. And then you have those who be like, well, sorry, you have a disability, you can't work, you don't deserve blah blah blah. You know what? F you. For people like that, to me, they're just pieces of garbage. Is what they are. You know, the same ilk that obviously supports a certain orange person. No, I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not a fan of him. I don't like Biden either. I hate them both, honestly. Um, I hate them both. Both awful. Both awful. The kind of people I like in government are people like Phil Murphy. Those are the kind of people I like in government. You know, he's a governor that actually has done a good job running the state of New Jersey. Unlike what we have in New York. Ned Lamont ain't too bad either, though. I think I like Phil Murphy a little bit better. Um, but you have decent governors, out there that, and then you have people like Kathy Hochul who are out to just destroy life as we know it here in New York. And now she's a legitimate governor. She's been elected. Well, I don't really think she's a legitimate governor, but the way New York works is that it's an at-large voting system. So you have the entire population of New York City. No matter what, they're always going to vote for the Democrats. Or they're going to always vote for the limousine liberal. Instead of Tom Suozzi, who would have been a much better governor. He's running for his old seat back, but I'd rather have him as governor. He would have been an awesome governor for New York, but no, New York couldn't have. We had to have the limousine liberal type. Of course, we had to have that. Um, So going forward, it's going to be tough to deal with the climate and deal with the continue. I don't know how much worse things are going to get here. Another thing that has worried me lately is all these fires going on. Most of them are in the middle of the island. Most of them are in the middle of the island. There are a few on the South Shore, most on the middle of the island. What's going on? And I'm always worried about it ever since that, back in 2021, we had that fire that happened in the other side of the building there. That was scary. And I'm worried next time it could be worse because, again, I have careless tenants that don't care about things. They don't care about safety. I'm worried that there's going to be another fire and it could be worse. Not only could I lose everything, but I could also die because there's not many ways to escape this place. All I have is the alley out the window. If I can't get out the front door, down those stairs, I'm dead. All right. Some people, of course, that's the other thing, of course. Some people wish that I was dead. We all know who those people are, and and it's and only in New York can they get away with that continued behavior. Only in New York, he knows he can only get away with it because in New York they don't care. If he did it in New Jersey, state police would be at his front door. All right, but no, not in New York because again, New York protects criminals. New York protects. It's all about serving what Wall Street wants. And more criminals on the streets means less desirable places to live. The desirable places to live that remain are expensive and coveted, and only those important Wall Street people can get to live there, and the rest of us get told to shut up and go live in New Jersey or shut up and go live somewhere else. We all know that's the way it works. Um, you know, um, I guess the final thing, obviously, just the loneliness. I'm very lonely. I don't see my family enough. One of my viewers said address that or talk about it. Yeah, I am going to talk a little bit about it here. Um, I don't have much family. My mom passed away in 2000. She was only 50. That's another thing. She died in Mineola at the hospital. Just living here doesn't bring back good memories for me. Um, she died of recurrence of breast cancer. My father's estranged. Um, he didn't even show up at my mom's funeral, and I want nothing to do with him. Um, and so that whole side of the family, I don't really get along with anyone on my father's side. On my mother's side, I have two uncles. One uncle I don't get along with. He upset, and then the other uncle I'm close to. Uh, but he too is financially, you know, even though he worked his whole life and he had what was considered a decent job for many, many years, uh, it's not enough to survive on Long Island. He has to share a house with a friend of his out in Suffolk County, out east, and he can't even get a new car. He can't even afford to get a new car. His car is like over 10 years old. Um, and he lives with this friend, and this friend apparently lacks a lot. Basically, in order for him to live with her, she asks a lot from him, a lot, a ridiculous amount. It's almost like he's her servant. It's ridiculous. They're not in. They're just friends, all right? But it's absolutely ridiculous. And because of all these things, basically, my uncle usually doesn't have the time or money to see me as much as I'd like to see him. And he'll say, "Oh, he'll come out. He was supposed to come out this month." You know what I mean? And then it always gets pushed off. Always. You know. I see him 2 to 3 times a year. I should be seeing him once a month. I don't think it's too much to ask for. But again, he's tied up with all this other stuff, and he's not that young either. He's in his mid 70s. He's in very good shape, but still, I worry about it. I worry about losing him too. What's going to happen when that happens? You know, he's the only one I get along with. I have a cousin that lives on Long Island, but she doesn't. They don't talk to me. I've tried to reach out to her. After my mom died, I tried to have a relationship with her, but it just didn't happen. And here I am by myself, basically, and it's very depressing. It's very lonely, um, and you know, and then you're looking for somebody in your life. Obviously, I've been looking for a woman in my life, and that's very hard. And a lot of it has to do with me. A lot of it has to do with my shyness and my social anxiety. Even though I come on here on YouTube and make all these videos, when it comes to approaching someone to find someone, I'm very shy about that. I'm extremely shy. I'm ridiculously shy about it. All right. Um, and I'm looking for a certain type of woman, a sweet, cute woman. But again, most of them tend to be snobby. Here on Long Island, most of them, especially the white girls. And I've kind of spoken about this a little bit that I usually look at women of color more because I find they tend to have a different kind of personality. They tend to be sweeter. They tend not to have that annoying vocal fry that a lot of the white women use here on Long Island. I don't know if it's just Long Island white women or white women across the whole country. It seems like it's mainly Long Island, but um, I don't know. But, if you look back at women from when I was growing up, the women didn't talk like that. They had a New York accent. Now there really isn't much of a New York accent. There's a little bit of it, but it's combined with this uppity vocal fry thing going on. Because everybody here just idolizes the whole lifestyle that the white finance professionals have. Even if they're not a white finance professional, they idolize it, they love it. That's why they want to be with them. They got to be on the South Shore. Everybody wants to be there, and I can't change that at all. It's all about the South Shore. That's designated as civilization, and the middle of the island is not designated as civilization, especially Mineola. We've been through that a million times already. We really have. Um, you know, but it's very hard. It's very hard, and I don't know if this 2024 will be my last year on Long Island. I don't know. And if I leave Long Island, I don't know if I would go to New Jersey or go to Flagstaff. I don't know. I've never even been. That's another thing you may not know about me is that I've never been away. I've never been on a vacation in my life. My family, we never travel far. I've never traveled further than 150 miles from Long Island. I've never been to DC. I've never even been as far as DC. I can't afford a plane ticket or a hotel, or even if I wanted, even if I did have the money for a plane ticket and a hotel, they usually require a driver's license, which I don't even have. I mean, maybe I could use my reduced fare Metro card or my Medicaid card. I don't know as ID, but even if I did have the money, but I would love to just get away. If I could, I would love to. I don't have to leave the country. I would like to just go to Flagstaff and check out the pines there. You know, it's beautiful over there. I would love to check it out. You know, uh, it would be interesting, and if I liked it, maybe in the future I might have to consider living there. I don't know, but the climate, if the climate's going to become tropical here, like South Carolina, I don't know how I'm going to survive that, and that can happen in 5 or 10 years. I can't survive heat and humidity 10 months out of a year. I need it dry. All right, it's one thing warm, but the humidity just kills me. I can't stand it. Never could. I've had trouble with heat my whole life. Um, so it's very hard for me to deal with that. And this year, it's going to be even hotter than next year. And the year after that, it's going to be even hotter. It's just going to keep getting worse because that's what happens with climate change. It doesn't mean you can't get cold weather. We can have cold weather. But by and large, overall, the temperature is going to keep rising each year because people don't get it. They don't get that we're in a climate crisis. They keep driving their pickup trucks around and burning gas like it's no tomorrow when we need to slow down burning gas. We need to slow it down and eventually stop it. Um, but again, here in the United States and Canada, the people are just so oblivious and so clueless that they just want to keep driving their pickups. They think they dismiss everything, all the science. They dismiss all of it, just so they can keep their wasteful lifestyle. It's disgusting. We have a lot of these pigs here on Long Island, and they disgust me tremendously. Um, but they don't care about the environment. They don't care. So anyway, we're at 38 minutes. I don't want to really make this video too much longer. I wish all of you a happy and healthy new year, and I'm hoping that 2024 will be happier and healthier for me. And I'm going to have to do what I need to do to get out of where I'm at, to get out of this situation. Um, and I have to focus on that in my life. I can't change what's happening to the Mineola or all the other middle of the island towns. I've got to take care of myself. I don't have the energy to help the middle of the island anymore. I've got to get the hell out of here. I don't know where it's going to be. I'd love it to be on the South Shore, but it might wind up having to be Tom's River. It might even have to wind up being Flagstaff. But I know I can't stay here anymore. It's a dying town. It's only going to get more dangerous. It's only going to get worse. There are only going to be more fires, more crimes, more cuts to transit service. Even though, despite the ridership statistics being strong, again, in New York, it's all about the people with the money. They're the ones that are going to get the best service. No, nice, MTA, whatever. That's the way it works. It's the white people with the money. That's what it's all about. It's all about them. And it's the rest of us don't matter for anything, and it's absolutely ridiculous. But of course, things can change. If I did meet a woman in my life, that would make a big change in my life, and it would make it easier to cope with where I'm living. Um, but it's in order for me to do that, I've got to be in a better place mentally. And right now, I can't even think about that too much because I do think about it. And I'm lonely as heck, but you know, I have to have the power and the strength to go out there and get myself into situations where I can meet people. And right now, I don't have that. So I think I'm going to wrap that up here. So, and again, a happy, healthy new year to everybody out there. And I hope that it will eventually get better for all of us. Have a good night.